Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're not just going to talk about AI, we are going to build with it right now. Forget all those complicated tutorials you've seen. We're getting you hands-on with code that just flat out works.
You know, most developers think this stuff is incredibly complex. Let's just cut right to the chase. I'm going to start with the end result and prove them wrong.
Take a look at this. This is our destination, 10 lines of Python. By the end of this short explainer, you are going to have this exact code running on your machine. Seriously, it's about 5 minutes of setup for a lifetime of AI power right at your fingertips. So how do we get there? Well, it all starts with the setup. But more specifically, it starts with the one crucial step that most tutorials just forget to mention. This is where people get stuck, and I'm going to save you hours of debugging right now.
Okay, let's do a quick prerequisite check. We're going to move fast here. I'm assuming you've got an AWS account. The free tier is totally fine. You've got Python, you've installed the Boto3 library, and you have your AWS command line tool configured. Oh, and make sure you're targeting either US East 1 or US West 2, because that's where all the models live.
All right. This right here, this is the secret. This is the step everyone forgets. Before your code can talk to any AI model on Amazon Bedrock, you have to go into your AWS account and explicitly enable access to it. AWS doesn't make this super obvious. And don't worry, it's a super simple one-time setup. You just pop into the AWS console, head over to Amazon Bedrock, and find Model Access in the menu on the left. Click to modify it, and for what we're doing today, make sure you check the boxes for Anthropic's Claude 3 Sonnet and Amazon's Titan Text. Click Submit, and boom! For most models, you get access instantly.
So what happens if you skip this? You get an access denied exception. It is without a doubt the most common roadblock people hit when they're starting out. But not you. Now you know.
Okay, before we even touch those 10 lines of code, let's check out an incredibly powerful tool for prototyping. This is where you can play around and test your ideas without writing a single line of Python.
So how can you figure out the perfect prompt and the best settings for a model before you commit it to your application? Well, there's a feature for that, built right into the AWS console, and it lets you experiment completely for free.
It's called the Playground, and it's exactly what it sounds like. You can chat directly with models like Claude or Titan, see what they say, and even keep an eye on the token count, which is super important for managing costs down the road. I mean, think about it. You just talked to the same AI that powers huge applications right from your AWS account. If you just realized how easy this is, do me a favor and hit that like button.
And here's where it gets really cool. You can tweak all the settings. Tick temperature, for example. Set it low, like 0.1, and you'll get a very predictable, factual answer. But if you crank it all the way up to 0.9, the model gets creative, starts using analogies. It's a completely different vibe. The Playground is your sandbox. Figure out what works here, then you go and code it.
All right, let's move on to the main event. This is the moment we've been building towards. This is the code that changes everything.
This is it, 10 lines. We import our libraries, create what's called a client, call the model with our prompt, and then print out the response. That's the whole thing. Let's break down the 3 most important parts.
First, and this is important, make sure you're using the Bedrock Runtime client. The regular Bedrock client is for managing things, but Runtime is for inference. That's the one for actually using the models. Second, look at the model ID. It always follows this pattern: provider, then model name, then version. It's predictable. And third, the body. This JSON object is going to be different for each model family. Claude, for instance, uses a messages array.
You just called Claude from Python. Let that sink in. If that felt like a milestone for you, hit subscribe, because in our next explainers, we're going to turn this little script into a full-blown, production-ready application. But for now, let's see just how flexible this thing is.
So what if you want to use Amazon's Titan model instead of Claude? You literally change 2 things: the model ID, obviously, and the structure of the body. See how Titan just wants a simple input text key instead of that whole messages array from Claude? That's the power and the main trade-off of the Bedrock API. One client can talk to tons of models. You just have to know the right body format for each.
Okay, but what about that real-time typing effect? You know, getting the response word by word like you see in ChatGPT, instead of just waiting for a big block of text to show up? Well, for that, you just change the method you're calling. Instead of invoke model, you use invoke model with response stream. This gives you back a stream of data chunks as the model generates them. It's absolutely essential if you're building any kind of interactive chat app. All right, let's wrap up with the errors that will hit you. And I say will because they hit everybody. I've spent hours debugging these so you don't have to. And hey, if this next slide saves you a future headache, you know what to do. Smash that like button. It really helps other developers find this guide.
Go ahead and bookmark this. Seriously, it'll save you so much time. Access denied exception? You forgot to enable the model back in the console. Validation exception? Your JSON body is formatted wrong for that specific model. Resource not found? You're probably in the wrong AWS region. And throttling exception just means you're calling the API too fast.
So let's just take a second and recap what just happened. In just a few minutes, you went from zero to having a working AI integration. You've got the code, you understand the secret setup step, and you know how to dodge the most common errors. You did it. Honestly, most developers never get this far. They get stuck on the setup, they get frustrated by the API calls, but you've cleared those hurdles. What you have now is the fundamental building block for just about anything in generative AI. It's like a new superpower.
And that, of course, brings us to the most important question of all. Now that you have this power, what are you going to build with it?
A custom chatbot? Maybe a smart code assistant? How about a search engine for your own documents? In our next explainer, we're going to do exactly that. Turn this script into an app that can answer questions about your own files. That's when it gets really powerful. So subscribe so you don't miss it. And drop a comment below and let me know. What are you going to build? I really want to know.